Brother lads, welcome back to Cossy podcast. My name is Cossy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a brand new video. We're gonna be diving into the latest around Arsenal. I'm a little bit sick, but I'll be much better probably within the week. We're gonna be diving into some of the transfer rumors around the club, including Kylian Mbappe and Gabriel Martinelli a swap. Like, that is one of the ridiculous stories I've had, but we'll be reacting to it as well. Michael Olise, Mohamed Kudus. Looks like Chelsea and Arsenal will be fighting over those two. Chelsea are looking for another winger. I don't understand why, but I do understand why they want Kudus. Should the Moises Caicedo deal actually fail to materialize, they will be moving for Mohamed Kudus, but I don't understand why they would want to sign Michael Olise. But of course, we'll be talking about Thomas Partey's future. The party continues, and Kieran Tierney says he's happy at Arsenal, but his future does not depend in on his hands. Okay, we'll be previewing the week because we have Barcelona ahead of us. We need to bounce back from that Manchester United defeat, so Barcelona is the best way for us to bounce back. I don't know if that's the best way, but we'll be talking about that and some of the action that will be happening throughout this week. Hit the like button, subscribe to the podcast as well. I have two questions for you in the comment box below. One, do you think Gabriel Martinelli can be swapped with Kylian Mbappe and Arsenal add more money? Is it a deal that you would do? And how much money would you add on top of Gabriel Martinelli? Personally, I'll tell you what, it's not a deal I would do. We don't know the full potential of Gabriel Martinelli yet. We've seen bits and pieces of him. There are times when he's so good, there are times when he's actually demoralizing, there are times when he's absolutely brilliant. But one thing we know, he's a clinical finisher. One thing we know, he's up there with the likes of Vinicius Jr. in terms of talent. Probably in terms of output, Vinicius is more vigorous, is more ruthless, and very consistent. So if Martinelli can find that ruthlessness, if he can find that consistency and be as clinical as players like Vinicius Jr., I think we are yet to see the maximum of Gabriel Martinelli. But let me know, is it a swap deal you would do? And if you did it, how much do we add on top of Gabriel Martinelli to get Kylian Mbappe? And of course, the second one is Michael Olise. What are your thoughts on Michael Olise, the Crystal Palace French international? He's one of those players that have always been in the media, hasn't he? But he's also one of the players that I think needs some time to develop. With Wilfred Zaha very close to joining Galatasaray on a free, Crystal Palace will be looking to keep their best players at their side this summer, with Michael Olise, Eberezer Eze, and a couple of others as well. So I don't see him move quickly, and I don't see him move cheaply. So if Arsenal are going to sign Olise, they will need to invest some money. So how much do you think we should pay for Michael Olise? And what are your thoughts if he was to come in at Arsenal this summer? Let's start off with the big news, which is around Gabriel Martinelli and Kylian Mbappe. So according to transfers.com, they're saying that Arsenal are one of the clubs that are inquiring about the signature of Kylian Mbappe. Of course, PSG have come out and said the guy is for sale. They're even willing to loan him out on a season-long deal as long as there is a guarantee, as long as there is an option to buy. So if you can take him at Arsenal, if you can take him at your club away from PSG this summer on a season-long loan deal, pay his wages, but you must have that guarantee that you're going to sign him at the end of the season. It will be absolutely very okay. And now, according to Sky, Kave Soleko on Sky, a couple of clubs, including, I don't want to say including Arsenal because I don't have the information that Arsenal have actually made the bid to sign Mbappe, but a couple of clubs, 5 clubs have actually approached PSG to sign Kylian Mbappe. Now, the swap deal with Gabriel Martinelli is absolutely ridiculous. I don't think Arsenal would actually do that. With Mikhail Modric going for about 88 million, that is close to 100 million euros, I think Gabriel Martinelli is very close to that 100 million euro mark. Like, if he can have 2 good seasons at the top, he will genuinely be a 100 million pound player. We've seen Jack Grealish, we've seen Mikhail Modric, we've seen Harry Maguire, we've seen the ridiculous prices players are calling. So if Gabriel Martinelli can actually keep his levels, keep his calm, and play at the very high, at the very best, There is no reason as to why he doesn't go into that bracket of 100 million and potentially 120, 150 as well. So it's a swap deal I wouldn't do. I think it's a swap deal that puts Arsenal in a very precarious situation. Financially, it's not viable, first and foremost. Yes, it's not our money. It's not my money to spend. But I still think Arsenal and all the progress we've had comes from the fact that we've been well run in the past 2-3 years, okay? So at the moment, Kylian Mbappe, swap with Martinelli? No. If Arsenal want to sign Mbappe, they could sign him, as a permanent deal, like as a loan deal. Like as a whole deal. That's what I'm trying to say. Go out there and try to negotiate your deal with PSG. 180 million euros could get the deal done. Pay him your 500,000 pounds per week wages and then drown the club. That is on to them. But personally, I would keep my Martinelli and find a very good replacement, a very good competitor for Saka. That is where we are in this phase. Maybe in phase 5 of our rebuild process, I could see Kylian Mbappe, I could see Harry Kane, I could see a big forward. I could see a big name on that forward line arrive. But at the moment, I don't see another big name, a bigger name arrive, bigger than Declan Rice. But anyway, that is out there, and I'm not saying that it is done, it is confirmed. All I'm saying that it is out there, and we have to talk about it on this Cossy's Arsenal podcast. Right now, Arsenal have agreed personal terms with Bitello. That's the good news starting this week. We've agreed personal terms with a 23-year-old Brazilian midfielder at Grêmio. Arsenal have also showed their intent to Grêmio to get in their bid after a 10 million euro bid was actually prepared last week. So Edu is in contact with Grêmio to get the deal done. 10 million euros is what they want. I think Arsenal will pay slightly above that, given that the fact that Grêmio are actually owning only 70% of the players' rights. It's going to be dramatic, isn't it? I mean, with Brazilian players and transfers, you expect the drama, you expect the party to be, a little bit, I don't know, is it... calligraphy they do in Brazil. But I look, Bitello is a player that Arsenal have set their sights on. For all the other players that we wanted around the Brazilian market, they've died out. All the deals have died out, apart from Bitello, who is emerging as a top priority for Arsenal and Edu in the Brazilian market. I'm not going to lie that I know much about him as a player, but what I can say, I've seen some YouTube clips. How about that for analyzing a player? So I've seen some YouTube clips, and it's not a bad player, by the way. He reminds me of Aaron Ramsey. Like, he loves getting into the penalty area a lot of time, and with players like Albert Sambi-Lokonga potentially getting out of the club, Arsenal will not need to spend hundreds of millions to actually replace them. So if you're losing Lokonga and you're bringing in Bitello, Lokonga could actually give us something like 20-25 million euros in this summer. So if Arsenal can bring in Bitello on the other side for 10 million euros or even less than that or slightly above that, I think it would be a very, very good deal. We just need to keep harmony and balance within this squad. And that's what Ed is trying to do, and that's what we're trying to achieve in this summer. So Bitello is on his way to Arsenal. If nothing changes, I'll be keeping tabs on the story for you. Okay, Michael Olise and Mohamed Kudus are the two priority players for Chelsea and Arsenal. What a coincidence. Like, we've had a lot of good blood between Chelsea and Arsenal in terms of sharing players. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, wherever he went from Arsenal, he ended up at Chelsea. But of course, we have the direct dealings of Kai Havertz, David Luiz, Ashley Cole, William Gallas, and a couple of other players, right? So this time, it's on the competition. It's back onto the battlefield. The last time we battled with Chelsea, we lost. It was for Mikhailo Modric, and Chelsea did pay the money. They gave him huge wages, but they also gave Shakhtar a lot of money to get the player down to the Stamford Bridge. Now, let's start off with Michael Olise, because with Michael Olise, I understand why Arsenal are interested, but also we have a bigger lion interested in Michael Olise in Manchester City. So reports are saying that Chelsea have sent in a £38 million pound bid actually to Crystal Palace to get Michael Olise out of the club. Manchester City are also really interested in Michael Olise after losing Riyad Mahrez to okay, to Saudi Arabia. I'm not really sure where these players are going in terms of clubs, because there are only 3 clubs I know in Saudi Arabia: Al Nassr, Al Khaleji, Al Hilal, and maybe, yeah, those are the 3 I know. So I'm not really sure who signed who and who's signing for who, but what I know is that these players are going to Saudi Arabia. So after losing Riyad Mahrez to Saudi Arabia, I think Manchester City will need a winger. Despite the fact that they would sign a winger even before losing Riyad Mahrez, they now desperately need a reinforcement, a wide forward reinforcement. So Michael Olise is a nice one. He's a very good player. Resembles Riyad Mahrez in very many aspects of his game. Isolating players 1v1, holding the width of the pitch, technical ability, beating players in those tight spaces. And he's also got a goal in him as well. He's got a free kick in him, like Manchester United fans will tell you last campaign. So I can see him go to Man City. I can understand why Manchester City are interested in Michael Olise, and I can also understand why Michael Olise would want to go to Manchester City. But for Chelsea, okay, I understand why Michael Olise would go to Chelsea. There is the money, but they also have a young man, not a young manager, but a good manager in Mauricio Pochettino, who's got a very good reputation when it comes to working with young players. But do they need another winger? With Christopher Nkunku in the team, potentially one of those players that are very versatile, can play either way, either on either flank. You have Mikhailo Modric. You have the likes of Jackson. Jackson can play on either flank as well. Don't forget the likes of Noni Madueke, Raheem Sterling in the team. I don't really understand why Chelsea are going for another winger. It's either the new manager has decided to go for his own signings, or Chelsea have decided to spend all the money recklessly that they have made in this summer. But I wouldn't really care. But Michael Olise would be a very good shout for Arsenal. One, we need competition for Bukayo Saka. We need a player that can compete with Saka. But we also need a player that can potentially prepare us for the worst. And the worst, I mean, if one day Saka crosses over to a bigger team. I mean, it could happen, right? It could happen. Bayern could say, what's up? Manchester City could say, what's up? Any other club could say, what's up on Saka? And Saka could be inclined to go, how about I go and change environment, right? For example, if Arsenal won the Premier League, the Champions League, and we won the Premier League again, well, Saka could go, could do a Sadio Mane kind of thing. He could decide to go and, upgrade his career. But then also, if you've signed a player like Michael Olise for around 30-40 million pounds, I highly regard him as one of the players that are going to have a very big price tag in the next 3, 4, 5 years. So if Arsenal can sign him for 40 million, we can actually make some huge profit on his sale in the future. Just like Manchester City did with Gabriel Jesus and Alexander Zinchenko and Raheem Sterling and all these other players. So I see Michael Olise as a very good shot for Arsenal, but I don't see him as a signing that we'll make. Why? Crystal Palace are not stupid. They're looking at all this, transfer market weirdness going on, and they're like, if we have lost Wilfried Zaha, we can't lose one of our top talents at the moment. So Chelsea, Arsenal, Man City, let's wait and see where this one's gonna end. But I won't be surprised if he's going to be wearing the light blue jersey one of these coming seasons. Now, Kudus, Manchester, again, Chelsea have sent in an official, kind of an opener to Ajax just to, test the waters on Kudus. So they want to sign Kudus, but Moises Caicedo is still their priority. They will look at Moises Caicedo. They will concentrate on Moises Caicedo Chelsea, but they're ready to rival Arsenal should the Moises Caicedo deal continue stalling. And of course, should Chelsea and Brighton fail to agree a deal. So with Kudus, you can take him. You can absolutely have him. I love Kudus. He's very versatile. He's very good. But I think in terms of his profile, he's a player that I've not really understood yet. And he's a player that I don't think we would actually be mourning if he went to Chelsea. Yes, he can go to Chelsea and drop a masterclass for 5 years. He can drop a masterclass for 6 years. But that doesn't mean Odegaard won't be performing at a high level. That doesn't mean that Kai Havertz won't perform at a high level. That doesn't mean that Rice won't be performing at a high level. So whichever way he goes, actually I see him as a Brighton player. I see him as that kind of Brighton guy. Come at Brighton, spend there 3 years, boost your career, and then go on to a bigger stage. So Mohamed Kudus, Chelsea and Arsenal are now about to rival each other. And I tell you what, I think Chelsea will win this one. If they are serious, like David Onstein says, they are serious, they will win it. I mean, Kudus will look at his options, will weigh his options. Chelsea can give you big wages, but Chelsea can guarantee you playing time as well. Like when you come in at Arsenal right now, Odegaard is untouchable, and I think Rice and Partey are untouchable as well. So there is one spot for you to fight for with Smith Rowe, who is English, by the way, Fabio Vieira, who is my favorite player at Arsenal, and of course Kai Havertz, who has cost £65 million, and the manager has to make it work. I think Kudus is better off at Chelsea. In my opinion, for him as a player, he better ends up at Chelsea rather than at Arsenal. Just to say. And lastly, just to run through what I expect to happen throughout the week. Of course, this week and the whole of last week, we do have the confirmation that Thomas Partey's party at Arsenal is still ongoing. So if you had actually cancelled your orders for Partey wear, please do reorder Partey wear. The Partey continues. Kieran Tierney has said he's happy, he's happy in Arsenal, but at the moment, the future and his future actually do not depend on him. Newcastle have decided to go against that deal because of the injury-prone nature of the player, but then also because Arsenal are actually asking for 35 million, and I think Newcastle are being stingy with their money. They want to spend around 15 to 20 million euros on a new fullback, and that could be Tino Livramento. This week we expect Arsenal to play FC Barcelona. Now, I didn't understand the statement that Barcelona put out confirming that there are no issues with the friendly between us and them. Are they trying to cancel it? Are they trying to call it off? I'm not really sure, but Arsenal do have a game in the USA. Our last game in the USA, we will take on FC Barcelona in that friendly. I'll see you right in the next one. I do have a couple of challenges coming on the channel, but I'll be communicating very, very soon and how you can participate. So stay tuned.